Welcome back to the BTS Happy Hour podcast. I'm your host, Andrea. With me, as always, is Morgan.
Hey, what's up?
This week, Butter is still on top of the Billboard Hot 100 charts at number 1 for the 5th week in a row, and it's continuing the run that kicked off since it debuted on May 21st, making it the group's longest leading number 1 to date. So they're still promoting Butter, but we've received more information this past week about the new song that will be included on the Butter CD that's being released July 9th. And we already saw rumors circulating that the title was going to be called Permission to Dance, and it turns out that that is the title. They've confirmed that. So they released 4 sets of teaser photos for the Butter CD. So there's been a lot of content this week, and on the first set of teaser photos, you could see on the props, if you zoom in, that there was a record that was named Permission to Dance. So that was one of the clues that told ARMY what this new song was going to be. Also, how does Ed Sheeran tie into this? Because now we've heard him talking about BTS, and he's back from his hiatus, apparently. He's released a song that he's promoting called Bad Habits, which came out June 25th. And in his interviews, he mentioned that he wrote a song for BTS's next album. And he also mentioned in his Instagram stories, he was answering fan questions, and he was the first one to say that the title is Permission to Dance. So that was pretty surprising for everybody to hear about. And of course, that went pretty viral.
So he leaked it.
Yeah, he did. And at first, people were like shocked. They're like, oh, is he not supposed to say that yet? Or is it supposed to be BTS who says it? But I mean, most likely this was like a planned thing.
No, I don't think it was planned.
Do you think they just got confused on the timing of things?
Well, wasn't this live?
Well, I guess, yeah, if you're on Instagram Live and you're just answering questions, it could be...
Yeah, I think he just made a mistake.
Unintentional.
Right.
Well, I had thought there was some kind of master plan where they let him be the one to leak it because he's promoting his song right now, and then it's like cross-promoting with BTS, they were about to say it anyway, like the next couple of days. So I thought it was like a big plan, but you never know. These things just could be from the outside. It's hard to say what the plan was.
I don't think there's any great plan. Ed Sheeran's just talking, you know? It's no big deal. So what if it's released? You just know the name of it. I
do think it's confusing because they work on things months ahead of time, and then you don't actually know when it's supposed to come out. So it's like, wait, am I supposed to say this or not say this? And you see BTS struggle with that a lot because they talk about things in their V Lives and like they don't know, oh wait, was this released yet or did this content come out yet? I don't know. And then sometimes they accidentally spoil things. So yeah, people thought it was that kind of a situation where maybe Ed Sheeran said something too early. Anyways, after that, Big Hit did confirm that that was the name of the song and that Ed Sheeran was participating in it. And on July 1st, then BTS released the track list for the Butter CD, and then it had the name of the song on it. And the other part that was interesting was it provided the songwriting credits. So it tells us who are the songwriters for Permission to Dance. So the first one is Ed Sheeran. Well, we know Ed Sheeran, and he has worked with BTS before on Make It Right. Mm-hmm. And then Jenna Andrews, who worked with them on Dynamite and Butter, I think. Yeah, I think she worked on both of those. So I guess she's also working on this song. And then Steve Mack and Johnny McDade. And it seems that those two guys work with Ed Sheeran a lot. So they seem to be his people.
Ed Sheeran's a good songwriter. I'm sure it'll be a good song.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I have my problems with that. Have I ranted about Ed Sheeran? Yeah, I have. I'm sure. I don't like Ed Sheeran.
Oh, that's a while back. We haven't talked about him in a while.
I won't go over it again. I don't like Ed Sheeran, but he's a good songwriter.
Steve Mack, who is one of the songwriters, his credits include The Shape of You, which is Ed Sheeran's song, which is one of his better ones, and 2002 by Anne Marie, which is a good song, and What About Us by Pink, which I don't know if you know that one, but that's a pretty good song too. So
of course I know that. What are you talking about?
I don't remember it being like a huge like number one or anything.
I listen to music in this country though.
Oh yeah.
Of course I've heard it.
So it's just those 4 people are the songwriters for Permission to Dance. I noticed that there's no member of BTS on there, so that makes me think it it's an all English song, and
Ah.
they just. I mean, I don't know how these people wouldn't write in Korean, so I guess we have to assume that it's English.
Well, they might write the music, and then the lyricist writes Korean. I don't know.
But I think if someone changes it into Korean, then that person would have to get a songwriting credit.
Are you sure you know all the people that got a credit?
That's what it says in Genius Lyrics. I don't think they would like not list a person.
Oh, okay. Then there's no
I
Korean.
think that's everybody. So Jenna Andrews said that she first heard about this in February. So BTS recorded this in March, I think. So they've wrapped that up pretty fast, and it started with the hook and the melody, and then they've restructured the lyrics and wrote the verses, and then added the rap. So I guess that was the last part that they did, and that makes me wonder, like, which of those 4 people added the rap, because it doesn't seem like any of them are rap writers.
No. Well, maybe I'm pretty sure Ed Sheeran can handle it. I don't know. It's just a pop song. Yeah. And if you didn't mention it, I bet you people wouldn't really notice.
Yeah. Hopefully it all works out. I think rap can be. It doesn't have to be like hardcore rap, like
No.
Eminem or something.
Yeah.
It can just be like not singing parts, like.
Right. And you never know. Maybe there's no rap. Maybe it's all singing. I mean, the rap line can sing.
Yeah, they can do it
It's not
all.
as if they can never sing.
That's true. And the other thing I was wondering is like where they're going with this concept of the title being Permission to Dance, because it sounds very like gentlemanly or like chivalrous, like, may I have this dance? It's like, is it going to be something like that where it's like a romantic type of Ed Sheeran song? Because that's what it kind of sounds like. But I think it could also go in a totally different direction than that. Like, I don't need permission to dance. And it's like...
It sounds to me like an 80s song for some reason. I don't know why.
Like Footloose. Like, I'm going to dance no matter what.
It sounds... It brings notes of Footloose to my mind.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think Ed Sheeran wrote... And 80s is in. And I feel like Ed Sheeran has written some slower songs. Like the one he collaborated with Bieber, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think he's trying to write an upbeat song.
Well, yeah, his latest song is more upbeat. So
yeah, so I feel like he's in that zone right now. I feel it's going to be sort of an 80s revival upbeat song. And also, there's almost no way that they would want BTS to release like a slow ballad in English.
Right.
Because that's not really what this market is looking to hear. It just wants pop songs, right? Or mumble rap or some like garbage rap or some rap where, women are half naked on the stage. Anyway, the American market doesn't want a ballad or anything. That's my opinion. And I don't think that they would make an all English BTS song that's a ballad.
Yeah, that's true. And they already had Make It Right, so they're probably not going to recreate that, like another similar kind of song. But yeah, I could see this Permission to Dance being like a lot of energy, and it's like, I don't need permission to dance, and they have some dance moves, and then they split apart, and then J-Hope runs to the center and does like some hardcore moves and like hip thrusts or something, and it's like... But I guess we'll find out like what will happen. It's like already going to be next week, and by the time you hear this, it'll probably be like about to come out, this song. And we also found out that they filmed the video already. They just wrapped that on June 27th and 28th in the Gyeonggi province, which that isn't really a lot of information because that's basically the province where Seoul is in. So it's like they could have filmed it wherever, in a building or outside of a building. So that doesn't give us any information about the concept. But that's crazy that they just filmed it like a few days ago. And I'm assuming that the video will come out on July 9th. So that doesn't seem like that much time to edit. Bang PD is stepping down from his role as CEO of HYBE as part of a major restructuring of leadership. This move is part of a company-wide move to accelerate global operations. He will now focus on his roles as chairman of the board of directors, where he'll still be involved in decision-making about the company's core businesses. He will also focus on music production. New CEO Park Ji-won will step into Bang PD's shoes. He joined HYBE last May after working with game publisher Nexon Japan. So I think everybody was surprised to hear about this because they've grown so much this past year, and everybody just thought the same leaders would stay where they are, and it sounds kind of drastic at first glance, but I think it makes sense for what HYBE is doing, or maybe what Bang PD personally wants to pursue, because I'm sure he wanted to get HYBE to a place where the artists are protected and they wouldn't be in, like, their intellectual property would be protected and in the right hands, and he probably wants to focus more on the music.
The article's title is kind of clickbaity. It kind of sounds like he's quitting.
Yeah.
Based on the way people are writing this, right?
Yeah, that's why
I can assure you he's not quitting.
People were shocked at first when they saw that.
Right. You might be shocked if you don't really understand how these different roles work. This is totally normal, by the way. This type of stuff happens all the time. This is like kind of pedantic, but I'll explain. Do you understand the difference between the CEO and a chair?
Well, I think CEO is more operations and the chairman is more like decision making of like
essentially distilled, that's kind of what it is. So basically you can think of a CEO as a person who actually runs a company, right? They do make all the hiring decisions. They make the majority of the top down decisions. The CEO's boss is the board of directors. The chair is the chair of the board of directors, right?
It's really the most important thing then.
That's arguable. The board of directors, essentially they represent the shareholders. And who are the shareholders? They own the company. So just like we've said before, when you buy a stock in something, people always tell you own part of the company. And it sounds kind of disconnected, disembodied. Like it doesn't really feel like you own anything. But if it's a voting share, you really do own part of that company, right? So if you own shares in a company, that gives you the right to vote for who represents you on the board of directors and the chairman of the board. Now if you only have a few shares, it really probably won't make that much of a difference versus a person who owns thousands and thousands and millions of shares or whatever, right? Those people, they have more votes than you because they have more shares than you, so they have more sway. But at the end of the day, you do still have a vote, and the board represents you. They represent the owner. So you can think of the chairman of the board as the owner of the company, or he or she doesn't really own it, but they represent the owner. That person is elected, can be replaced by election, right? The board hires the CEO. This is like how most companies probably work.
Right.
The board will hire the CEO, and that person runs a company. The board only really makes a few decisions. They only meet once a quarter to make some big decisions and hire the CEO or grill the CEO on what's happening. Like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Blah, blah, blah. Now, the reason why this is confusing is because when it's a new company that's just started up, generally what you have is the chairman of the board and the CEO are the same person.
Right.
Think about it logically. If you just started the company, you own most of the company, right? Who are you going to vote for to be chairman of the board? Yourself.
Right.
You're just going to vote for yourself probably because, hey, this is my company. I own most of the shares or a large amount of the shares.
And you want it to be your vision.
Right. So you're probably going to be chairman of the board. This is how it is with all new companies, startups like Tesla. I know it's difficult to think of Tesla as a startup, but hey, Elon Musk was the chairman for a long time. HYBE, same thing, right? But it's different with an old company like GE or Coca-Cola. The people who started the company are long dead.
Yeah.
And the shareholders are banks and institutions and things, and they vote for the chairman, right? And the board of directors hires a CEO, and that CEO runs a company. But that person is very different than the chairman and the owners, because the CEO doesn't own the company, right?
Well, and the CEO is more of a face of the company. Like that's who you see.
Yes, because they run the company. So essentially, Bang PD, what has happened is he said, I don't want to run the company day to day. I trust this other person to do that.
Right.
But I still own most of the company, so I'm the chairman of the board. So at the end of the day, I still make the big decisions. So he has more time on his hands. The CEO and the chairman are only the same person for relatively new companies, like Tesla. Elon Musk was the chairman and the CEO. He's still the CEO. He's not the chairman anymore because the dumb SEC kicked him out, and now a woman is the chairman of the board. But he still owns the largest chunk of Tesla shares. So once he can be chairman of the board again, I'm pretty sure he will be, because he'll just vote for himself.
Do you think HYBE is just too big now that you need two different people?
No, it's not too big. Oh, no.
Like he could have done both jobs.
He could have done both jobs.
If he wanted
Elon
to.
Musk was chairman and CEO for such a long time, No, he could have done it. He just doesn't want to do it. He just it feels like, oh, I can spend my time doing something else.
Yeah.
You have to understand, like running one of these companies, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah, there's a lot of meetings.
It's not like if you think it's just like being rich and sitting behind a desk. It's totally not. Well, I guess you could do it that way, but your company would probably fail. So just being the chairman is nice because you can just do the big picture stuff.
Yeah. You can say, make this happen.
Right. I was like, every quarter we meet and I give the CEO instruction. But every working day, the CEO is in charge. The chairman will not come in and say, hey, why is this happening at this plant or whatever? Or why did you release this BTS album at this time? The chairman will never come in and, micromanage that sort of stuff. That's the CEO's business.
Yeah.
And the CEO will just every quarter will have to answer for his performance. And he could be fired and he can be, he can continue. So he's just doing less work. He's not stepping down in any real fashion.
Yeah. I mean, the CEO, it's not just, oh, look, I'm the CEO of this company that has BTS. It's like a lot of mundane stuff too. It's like, I got to handle payroll and hire people and have all these meetings and get calls from the press and,
Yeah. I don't know that he handles payroll personally, but he has to hire the person who's in charge of payroll. He has to oversee that hierarchy, and he is very hands-on with that hierarchy. People report to him every day, I'm sure, but people don't report to the board every day.
Right.
The CEO reports to the board once a quarter, but people report to the CEO every day. If let's just put it this way. Let's just say there's a fire, there's an emergency, and it needs to be put out right now. Otherwise, your share price is going to crater. Who gets the pressure in that situation? The CEO. Mm-hmm. The board is not involved at all. They might maybe make a call to the CEO. So, hey, what are you going to do about this? But really, it's the CEO has to scramble and fix this situation because the board doesn't run the company. The board just hires and is responsible for the CEO's performance. That's it. CEO runs company. And he doesn't want to run the company anymore because I'm sure it's boring.
Yeah.
Or I'm sure it's time consuming, not boring.
He wants to get back to producing.
Right. He started as think about it. He probably has 0 time to produce music.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen his name on a lot of song credits lately. He probably wants to get back into that and in the studio. And some fans were even really optimistic about this move. They were like, oh, we're about to get a bunch of really good hits for BTS and TXT that, Bang PD's going to write.
Maybe. Yeah.
So that's a good sign then. I'm sure it's better for everybody, this move. And another part of this story is that Scooter Braun is going to be the co-CEO of the U.S. part of HYBE. So now it kind of makes sense. Last week, all the articles and profiles on Scooter Braun. It's like, okay, everybody get used to Scooter Braun because he's going to be kind of in charge of the U.S. part of HYBE.
Well, I don't know. The way I read this is that this is almost like a courtesy position.
Like giving him a title?
Why do you need a co-CEO? Well, let's just put it this way. Okay, he sold his company. We've established that. It is outright sold. He doesn't own the company anymore. HYBE owns your company. HYBE is a Korean company. All the people down the line from the chairman to the CEO to the other co-CEO, they're all Koreans, right? Mm-hmm. You're Scooter Braun. You're the co-CEO of the American branch. What does this look like? It looks like it's almost like a ceremonial position, right?
Well, yeah, the other co-CEO is somebody from HYBE. It's like a Korean.
What this looks like to me is, okay, they want an American branch. They want Ithaca. Mm-hmm. They want to have a foothold in America. But you need an American face to that, right? You need an American face to that. But who's really in control? If push comes to shove, if behind the doors, these two co-CEOs disagree with each other on something, who's going to win? Probably the Korean who answers to another Korean who answers to another Korean, right? It's probably.
These are the orders.
Yes. And when push comes to shove, well, this is what we're doing, Scooter. Okay?
Right.
I'm sure if nobody is, that invested or cares that much, they can cooperate or whatever. But if it's contentious, I don't think Scooter's really the CEO of that company or that branch. I don't. I just think he's sort of the American face for this American company that they bought. Mm-hmm. What value is there to this American company if all they did was buy the rights to, Ariana Grande and Justin Bieber? Obviously, Scooter Braun's a very talented person who has a lot to offer. You want to take advantage of what he can do as well. But at the same time, we're in charge. That's what this reads like to me.
I think it's a way to formalize the fact that they're going to be using his connections to do things.
But at the end of the day, and I think everybody in the business sort of does know this, it is the Korean side that will be deciding things.
Right.
But they respect him and they want him to keep contributing. So he is the co-CEO.
Because he's the co-CEO, but then he also has to still manage all his artists. Like, that's a whole other job.
Right. And just think about a hierarchy. Just inherently, there's no co, right? How often has this worked well? I mean, Rome had two leaders, two consuls or whatever, but it seemed like they were like half the time those two people were at war with each other. So did that work well? I don't think it worked well.
We talked about that in an episode before, how HYBE is one of the few companies that has this co-CEO structure.
At the end of the day, somebody has to win.
Yeah.
Somebody has to have the last word. You can't have a stalemate forever, right? There's no company that can just operate with stalemates happening. So any stalemate, I'm sure, will be on the Koreans. Well, the Korean side will win because they own the company now. Mm-hmm. But they want Scooter Braun to still be involved.
Hyundai released a video that is very different from what they usually post. Normally they have BTS in their commercials, and it's BTS talking about being environmentally conscious and showing their ionic electric cars or something like that. Something very, sales oriented, talking about their products. This time they released a video centered around the Boston Dynamics robot who is introduced to BTS. And I found out that Hyundai just recently acquired Boston Dynamics, so now it all makes sense. So if you watch this video, it's kind of, I guess you might think it's cute, but you also might find it disturbing. Basically, the Boston Dynamics robot is ushered into BTS's studio, and he interacts with BTS, and then they're
and they treat it like a dog.
Yeah, they're playing with him and stuff, and it's all very friendly, and I don't know. It's I don't know what Hyundai is up to with this. But I thought we established that everybody is disturbed by those robots and doesn't like Boston Dynamics.
Right. Well, I mean, you saw the Black Mirror where they took over the world, right?
Yeah. That
like the little dog things. And then was the little dog things too. It wasn't even like a different type of menacing robot. It was those dog things.
The director of that episode even said it was totally based on Boston Dynamics robots.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, hopefully I'll die before that happens, but I don't know.
Hyundai,
when Boston Dynamics robots take over the world.
Hyundai is being very sneaky. They're using BTS, and then they're getting us used to these AI robots. They're normalizing these robots so that we're totally fine with them being present in all parts of our lives. And then this is when they take over.
Well, there's nothing wrong with a robot. A robot is fine. Robots, we use them in manufacturing. They're good. You can even go to restaurants where robots will make food and drink for you. The problem is when the singularity happens and they develop AI consciousness, which is going to happen, by the way, especially when we come up with quantum computing. That's going to happen. I'm almost sure of it. This is not the topic for today, but I'm almost sure the AI is happening. And then at that point, do you really want this AI to have access to a bunch of physical manifestations running around like little dogs and arms and walking robots and stuff?
And weapons.
Do you really want them to control your weaponry? Probably not, Even if they don't have a physical manifestation, they can already wreak a lot of havoc. Just they can take over different parts of your infrastructure and things like that. Mm-hmm. But whatever. I welcome our robot overlords.
What I don't understand is why do they need to put these robots in a commercial? It's you're Hyundai, and in their press release, they're talking about we're going to have synergy and develop cutting-edge robotics so we can have improve smart logistics and manufacturing. It's okay, you could do all that, but why does it have to be in a commercial, and why do we have to see the robot hanging out with BTS? I don't understand how that's all tied together. They could have just used the technology that they bought and not made a commercial about it.
Well, don't they already pay BTS?
Yeah.
Yeah, may as well use them then.
I guess they thought, well, this robot will be an interesting thing to interact with BTS. And this will go viral because people are terrified of these robots, so.
Well, in the dystopian future where robots have taken over, they can always look back at this moment as one of the key moments.
Yeah.
Before the apocalypse.
Because I feel like Hyundai kind of approached it innocently. It seems like they don't have the same thoughts about.
It always starts innocent. Watch Terminator. It always starts innocent. It's always for the good of humanity or something like that.
Like,
nobody starts off these programs by saying, you know what, this is for the bad of humanity. And one day these things are going to take over. That's not a good sales pitch.
They're like, it's going to improve our manufacturing. And
it will.
I mean, it will.
And then they'll take over.
And then what about after that?
Yeah.
So, yeah, check out that commercial if you see it on the Hyundai YouTube or on Twitter. A British-born white influencer has had 18 plastic surgery procedures to look like a member of BTS and now identifies as Korean. So if you know Oli London, I already knew about him. He's kind of a personality, I would say, who's British, and he's known to be like a BTS super fan, and he was already getting plastic surgeries like for a few years now, I think. And I guess just recently he's got even more, and he's trying to look just like Jimin from BTS. And in this latest video, he says, "Hey guys, I'm finally Korean. I've transitioned." He says that he's transracial and he identifies as Jimin, and he thinks he's literally Korean, like that's his culture and that's his country. That's correct.
Well, not only his culture, he feels that he is physically Korean.
Right. I mean,
he was born in the wrong body, he said.
He's surgically altered himself to look Korean, but that doesn't make you Korean. Like, you have to be born there.
Well, hold on. You don't want to get canceled. Does that really not make you Korean? He feels Korean.
I mean, what does it mean to be Korean, I guess, is the question.
He identifies as it, right?
Right. Like today, if you identify as...
He does. He says it sincerely.
Right.
It's not a joke to him. I know some people do this as a joke sometimes, but he's not joking, is he? He sincerely believes it.
Doesn't seem like it.
No, he sincerely believes it.
But yeah, it's stirring up a lot of conversation there because people don't necessarily agree you can be transracial. He might be the first person to do that or say that that's a concept.
I doubt he's the first person, but he's one of the first high-profile people, at least, we could say. You know, I'm fine with it. Of course, I do find it interesting that a lot of people who are so pro-transgender seem really offended by this for some reason.
Right.
And that's hypocritical. I mean, what is the difference? Right? I think we touched on this before, but you know there's fewer genetic markers that determine your quote-unquote race than there are that determine your quote-unquote gender, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's many more discrete markers that determine mainly one, your gender, than that determine your race. Like, no one can point to this particular marker and say, oh, yeah, you're this.
That's true.
It's very difficult. It's just a, constellation, and they use mitochondrial testing and things like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a host of things, a constellation of things that people, they can point at and say, you're probably from this region of the world, and you probably look like this. And we would say it's that race. But that's just a host of things that sort of come together.
Yeah, there's very few
not everyone. Yeah, not everyone has all of them. Most people just have some of them. How many of these markers do you need to have to be this race as opposed to that other? Mm-hmm. It's very hard to tell, especially since people, they intermix. This is a modern world. So being transracial, racial lines are so hazy already, even genetically. They're very hazy, right? They bleed over into each other. It's more defensible than being transgender, one could argue, just on the merits of the biology. Right,
because
there's a very hard delineation for gender.
The strong basis.
I know some people will say there's no hard, but for most people, there is a very hard line.
The strong basis is your chromosomes.
Yeah, your chromosome is this or that for the vast majority of people. Your race, it's not, this one chromosome, this one marker is this, and this other person has that. So you're this race and they're that race. That's not how it works. It's just a host of phenotypes, right? Like, you have this one and your skin color is sort of like this. And, you have this and you're more prone to sickle cell anemia. Stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the day, that's a little hypocritical on some people's part. My personal position is he's not hurting anybody. So I don't have a problem with him saying it or thinking it or wanting to be Korean or whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
The only person he might be hurting is himself, in which case I fully support his right to hurt himself. And I do think that he might be mentally unstable. But again, that's his business and not mine.
Yeah, like just the number of surgeries. It's like, are you sure that you're okay to do all that and to
right.
messes with your identity so much.
I think that there may be mental instability there. But if you ask me whether I think he's Korean, no, I don't think he's Korean. And if you don't think it's Korean, I don't have a problem with that either. I'm not trying to force you to think he's Korean or to refer to him as Korean. That's a fair position to take, right?
Yeah, but if someone says I identify as this gender, it's
that's
like
true. That's the hypocrisy I'm trying to point out here. If
everybody has to do that.
If you want to say that, I don't really think this transgender person's this. It's like, well, you're a bigot. You're this.
You get shunned if you do
you're that. I'm like, well, can I just believe what I want to believe? No.
You have to use the pronouns too.
Yeah, I basically think that he's free to do whatever he wants with his life. I'm free to think whatever I want about whether he is what he says he is. That's fine. Both of these things are totally consistent and also consistent with people respecting each other's boundaries and rights and living as generally free people in a civilized society. Nobody was forced to do anything. I didn't force him to not refer to himself as Korean or not get all his many surgeries or make an ass of himself. I didn't force him to do any of that. Nor can he force me to refer to him a certain way, because I don't want to refer to him a certain way. I'm not going to say, "Hey, you're Korean," or I don't want to have to refer to him that way.
I'm not going to call him Jimin either.
No, and I'm not going. Yeah, I'm not going to say your pronouns are. He said his pronouns like they, them, and Korean Jimin or something like that. Mm-hmm. Those are not even accepted pronouns in the list of pronouns. How would the word Korean or Jimin even work as a pronoun? Right?
Right.
You would have to say something like Jimin went to the bathroom. It's like, well, the person, like a person with that name, or are you using it as a pronoun right now?
Right. It gets confusing.
Yes. So yeah, I think there's something wrong with him, but he's free to do it. Kind of curious where he got all the money to do all this stuff. He must come from a rich family or something.
Yeah, that has to be it, because otherwise how could he afford all of the work that he's gotten done? But yeah, I don't think... If you're outraged at him, but then not outraged at like the whole situation of anytime you misgender someone, then it's the same thing.
Yep. So let's all just leave him alone, or no, you don't have to leave him alone. You can say bad things about him on Twitter, but hey, he's free to I guess get tons of plastic surgery and think he's Korean. It's 2021. Are we going to be consistent here? If we're going to be consistent, then we should just respect him. And you know what? We should probably even refer to him as Korean.
Yeah, you should respect
that Korean they, right? That Korean human, Oli London.
On June 27, Tzuyu from Twice released a cover of Me by Taylor Swift as part of the Melody Project, which are the solo songs and performances of the Twice members. The song is featuring Bang Chan of Stray Kids doing the Brendan Urie part. Did you have a chance to listen to this song?
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm a Twice fan.
Yeah, I was really excited when I heard about that, because I was like, oh, she's doing a Taylor Swift cover. That's going to be good.
Because you're a Taylor Swift fan.
Yeah. And I think this was actually a really good choice of song for her. I don't know if this was like JYP's idea or if she chose it herself or whose idea it was, but I thought it was the perfect song because it's a really wholesome pop song. It is very K-pop if you think about it. It's very cute concept. Mm-hmm. And the video is good. She looked really pretty and there's a lot of smiling, and that made me realize like Twice videos, they usually don't have her smiling, and I guess they're going for certain looks in videos, so that doesn't happen too much.
Right.
So yeah, I was like, oh wow, she's smiling a lot. That's different. And I remember that there's a lot of Swifties that actually hate this song.
Why?
I think.
Why are they even aware of it? That's the more pertinent question.
No, they hated it when Taylor Swift did it.
Oh, I see.
Why? I guess they felt like it was too different from her other songs, and they thought it was like too bubblegum. And
but she's had plenty of bubblegum songs, though.
Yeah, I don't know. It got a big reaction when it came out. Like people, you either like it or you hate it, and some people thought it was like too bubblegum, too childish. They didn't like the "Hey kids, spelling is fun" part, and so much so that part got taken out, I think, of the song.
Wait, how can they take it out of the song?
I don't know. It was not there. Like if you listen to Spotify, I think later on it was taken out.
No.
Or maybe it was taken out of the video, but not the song. I don't know. But I remember Or maybe when you heard it on the radio, it was like not there.
I think the radio version doesn't, but the video still does, obviously.
Something like that. It was taken out.
I think Spotify still has it. How could they dislike it so much? Shake It Off is a pop song, although I guess maybe that's not the norm for her.
Yeah. People feel like those couple songs are...
Oh, do they hate Shake It Off too?
Yeah, some people hate Shake It Off. They feel like those
people are just like, no fun.
They feel like they're the outliers. And
but they're some of her most popular songs.
I did hate Me for like a phase, but then I went back to liking it again.
Oh, okay.
Because I think like an album later, I realized, oh wait, I actually like this song. I listened to the hype too much, and then like it's actually a pleasant song.
Right. I always liked it.
But I think the nature of this song is what makes it perfect for Twice, though. It's like very cute and
it makes it perfect for Twice.
Yeah.
But I didn't think they did a good job with it.
You didn't think her vocal was...
Let's just be frank. Her vocals are bad. They're not strong. Her English is poor. It sounds bad. It just you can't get over the fact that it's not her native language, right? It's not good overall.
It's an easy song to sing.
I'm a Twice fan, so I take no pleasure in saying this. It's not good. I can barely get through it without cringing. I'm just being honest. I did not enjoy it. I think that she can't. She doesn't have the vocal chops or the presence, even just the stage presence to carry a solo project. And then you're going to saddle her with a song that is not in her native language. Even though it's not a vocally demanding song, still it's difficult to sing a song that's not in your native language. That adds a layer of difficulty to it.
Yeah. Right?
So that did her no favors. I understand that was a point to cover a popular English song, but it added a layer of difficulty. It was too much for her to handle, and she probably can't handle that much at this stage in her career. That's just how I feel about it. She's fine in the group. It's a tough time. She's a native Chinese speaker. She has to sing in Korean, and she has to sing in Japanese. And now she has to sing in English, and she's not a good vocalist. This is a lot to ask.
Yeah.
Of any person, I would say.
That's true.
It's no criticism of her. It's just a lot to ask of a person to perform to that level. Mm-hmm. And the result is not good. I would not listen to it again for sure. I would watch the video maybe one more time just for the visuals. But that's about it. It's not something I want to see again. But I can also see that it's good. It is nice that they seem to be giving Twice some solo projects.
Yeah.
Just to keep things fresh for them, maybe. I don't know.
Let them do some different things. Because since it seems like they're not going to be able to release actual solo mixtapes. Like, they're not going to do that because they want to focus on the group's work. So it's just going to be like, one solo song every once in a while for this melody project. But yeah, it's nice to see them do something a little different. I did like what some of the other members did for their melody project. Like, remember Daeun and Chaeyoung did Switch to Me, and I like that.
Yeah, I think it's good for them to do these individual projects, but hers was not successful, and I won't be watching it again.
Thank you to our guest, Morgan. You can find BTS Happy Hour on Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many other podcast platforms. New episodes weekly. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. Follow BTS Happy Hour on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Weverse. You can also go to the website at btshappyhour.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for additional content. Until next time, this has been the BTS Happy Hour. Thanks for listening, and remember, make every hour a happy one.